So, should you invest in gold? This question I get a lot. I'm heading into the office, but I was listening when I wake up in the morning. I like to listen to some great person or some expert in a field. I was listening to Warren Buffett just talk about investing, economics, all this stuff. And one thing he talked about that was fascinating is about gold. Now, the reason I'm bringing up gold, even if you don't care about gold, don't think you'll ever invest in gold. I'm going to talk a little bit while I drive here. Uh, Here's the thing about gold. It shows you the fundamental misunderstandings that humans have with money. Okay? People think it's as simple as a certain thing, an asset class like gold or real estate. You'll hear people tell you, flip houses or get duplexes or invest in silver, invest in commodities. The truth, and Warren Buffett said something very fascinating. He said, listen, all the gold in the world at the time of this video, he said, was valued at about $7 trillion, okay? But that's somewhat of a make-believe value. It's just supply and demand, right? So he said, it's not like people one day wake up and want more jewelry, gold or silver. So he said, what would you rather have? He said, all the farmland in the United States is only worth $2 trillion. And he said, this is how crazy people get and how things get driven up by the media telling you, ooh, gold, gold, gold. And I had some friends a few years ago. I told them, don't just invest in one thing unless you really know a lot about it. Now, if you're an expert in gold, if you understand mining, if you understand new technologies, this is different. But I'm talking about for you and I that are just people that are, I'm assuming you're not an expert in gold. So what you want to do instead, Warren Buffett talks about, and I've taken and adopted his philosophy over the years throughout my life, is the best investment in general is things that produce real value. Okay, so Warren Buffett's big on businesses, and I'm the same way. I invest in businesses and or start businesses, and or you take things like land. These actually produce income. They grow corn, they grow wheat, all this stuff. So hold on, I'll show you something cool. This thing anyway. It's a hard top convertible. It's kind of cool. If you've never seen this before, it looks like a transformer. Kind of crazy. Ferrari, I think, has one of the first hard top convertibles, and boom, now you're out in the open. Anyway, so going back to this conversation about gold, gold, which most of its value, there is obviously some value in gold and precious metals, but most of it is hiked up from other buyers, as opposed to land, farmland, or as opposed to, let's see why this is beeping, as opposed to things like business. Start a business, invest in a business. If you're an employee and you can't do that, invest in the S&P 500, invest in global common stocks. These are those things which have produced wealth day in, day out for the last, stock market, late 1800s, the U.S. stock market really launched. But again, even going beyond that, most wealth in the world is really created from business owners. And one of the things that I'll bring up that's of value when you own a business or invest in other people who run businesses is that the value is adjusting for inflation. So a doctor, they, let's say, run a business, their practice, or a restaurant. As the times change, as inflation, which generally the trend is up, meaning prices of things go up. Going to Disneyland 50 years ago might have been whatever, $5, and now it's 60 or 70 or maybe even more. So when you own a business like Disneyland or a restaurant, you're able to raise prices to keep up with the cost of living. And that's another advantage to you. Whereas certain things that you buy, especially fixed assets, they don't always inflate quite as well. Okay? And that's what Warren Buffett says. He said, I don't like fixed investments like gold, silver, bonds, and things like that. And if you buy a bond, depending on how you buy it, but sometimes, you know, bonds are locked in. You're going to be getting the same payment every month, no matter if the cost of living's gone up 5%. So anyway, just some food for thought. I thought it was very interesting that gold is valued as $7 trillion, whereas all the land in America, what would you rather own? All the income producing farmland in America for 2 trillion, or all the gold? You know, be careful of just chasing things for returns. Make sure they have an underlying value. And that's the real takeaway. Underlying value. Make sure that, and if you buy houses, don't just buy them to flip them to someone else who's going to pay you more. Make sure that house potentially has value to be rented out, has an income producing stream. There's always exceptions to this, but this is a good general rule of thumb. So anyway, I'm headed to the office. Talk to you soon.